So the question is God still in the business of resurrecting people today? Hi friends, if you're like me, you've grown up hearing stories from Scripture about resurrection. Maybe it was Lazarus, Jesus resurrected from the tomb, or the widow of Nain and her son who was on his way to his own funeral. These stories provide miracles and inspiration, and they're powerful, but is God still doing that today? A few years ago, a leader in a non-denominational megachurch kind of startled the Christian world and sent ripples out by a request that they made. You see, their family had been through a tragedy. This couple, who was involved in music, had their 2-year-old daughter stop breathing one day and pass away. In their immense grief, they asked the Christian world to pray for them, but not for their comfort or their grief. They asked for somewhat of an unusual prayer. They asked people to pray for her resurrection, not eventually, right now. They asked for that resurrection because they said God is in the business of resurrecting. It's not His will for her to die. He's not done with her yet. How do you feel about that? Is God still in the business of resurrecting? How important is resurrection to Him? And what role does it play in Scripture? Well, Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 15 a lot about resurrection. It's kind of his treatise on the subject. Regardless of how you feel about this family's request, we do know that Scripture says a lot about resurrection. So let's examine it for just a few minutes today. 1 Corinthians 15 gives us 4 encouraging statements and truths about resurrection. I want to dig right into it. 1 Corinthians the 15, verses 1 through 11, tell us that Jesus Christ Himself was resurrected in bodily form. So we have that good news that according to Scripture, fulfilling the prophecies, Jesus was resurrected. There's the first ounce of hope, right? As Jesus was resurrected, we are told that He was not just resurrected, but He was the first fruits from those who sleep. And that's our second point, that not only was He resurrected, but this resurrection is available for you and for I as well. The first fruits was kind of a reference to a religious sacrificial or temple offering, a gift, if you would. And what better gift could we have than conquering death, than conquering our greatest enemy, then rising above what looms on the horizon, which often scares people, the gift of the resurrection one day. Verse 13, Paul goes on to say, "But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is in vain, and our faith also is in vain." Pretty strong words. So either the resurrection is true and our faith is very meaningful, or the resurrection is not true and we're wasting our time as Christians. He goes on to say we might as well live up our lives in all of our sinful nature if the resurrection is not true. So it's pretty important. Going on to our third point, not just did Christ resurrect, and not only will we resurrect one day, but thirdly, we don't just resurrect in some abstract spiritual concept, we resurrect physically in a glorious resurrected, imperishable body. That was important for the Greeks to know. You see, his audience had been influenced by Platonic dualism, which said that, this body we're in is shameful and it's terrible, and what's good is the spiritual inside of us. No, Paul counteracted that with the truth that God made our bodies. Our bodies are important, and they're made by a creator who put His hands on us and said, it is good. Our bodies are nothing to be ashamed of. They've been corrupted by sin, but one day we will be resurrected into the incorruptible, imperishable body that he talks about in 1 Corinthians 15. He says that will be a heavenly body and our earthly bodies will be done. It's kind of like a new and improved version. I don't know about you, but I look forward to that day. The older I get, the more I feel the effects of aging and the creaks and the pains that come with living in this world and how sin has affected our bodies. What a beautiful truth to hold on to. The final truth presented in 1 Corinthians 15 is not only is that the resurrection is available for you and I like it was for Christ, not only is it a literal physical resurrection and where we receive glorious bodies, Paul talks about the power of this gift. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 54, he says, "But when this perishable puts on the imperishable, and this mortal puts on immortality, then will come about the saying that is written, Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your sting? Where is your sting? Where is your victory?" Beautiful question, isn't it? The sting has been taken away. We don't have to fear death. The story is told a few years ago before the days of air conditioning in cars, of a family who was out for a Sunday drive, and the kid was panicking in the back seat. A little boy was upset, he was maybe 4 or 5 years old, because a bee had made its way into the car. And he was scared of getting stung. Well, his dad, in one fell swoop of his arm, reached back and swatted the bee and caught him in his hand. And the boy was still frightened. He said, Dad, I don't know if he's gonna sting me. And he opened up his hand and he showed that the stinger from the bee was stuck into his hand. He said, "It's okay, son, I've taken away the sting for you. You can't be hurt." And friends, that's what Christ has done for us. Because he died and resurrected, fulfilled Scripture and was resurrected, you and I can live with the confidence that the sting has already been taken away. Isn't that good news? Can you imagine life without it? Can you imagine at the graveside if we knew that this was all we had? No. Let's thank God today for the great gift of a physical, bodily, glorious resurrection that he has waiting for us one day. And the question I have for you as we leave today is, what about your spiritual resurrection inside of you? That has to come first. In order to experience the physical, glorious resurrection, there needs to be a resurrection in our own lives, a resurrection of our heart, talked about in Romans 6. Are you there? Have you allowed God to revive you and resurrect your soul and trust in him? If so, then there's a beautiful resurrection waiting for you one day. God bless you, friends.